than that.
Well, I tell you what, IHOP. What's next? Waffle House? Hey,
last night, true story. That's all I'll say.
All right, Matthew Embry. Where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
MATTEMBURY. And don't forget, for those of you in Northern Indiana, we have both the Bears and the Colts on WSBT 96.1. Colts coverage starts at 6 p.m. And on our sister station, Z94.3, Bears coverage of the game starts at 6:45. So tune in, and we'll see what happens in a very interesting matchup. Unfortunately, they don't play in the regular season, but certainly a matchup I think that's an increasing rivalry, especially when you're almost equal distance between the two cities, especially where we are in South Bend.
Absolutely, and I will be there tonight, indulging in some adult beverages at the tailgate party, and we'll be rooting on the Indianapolis Colts and their practice squad. Matthew, have yourself a good weekend, sir.
And in addition to that, before I go, remember Little League World Series International and U.S. Championship games are today. If I had to make a pick, I think Japan is going to win another title, bringing it back to the land of the rising sun. But if there's a team from the U.S. that could beat them, I think Hawaii is the best bet.
I do agree with you. Matthew, have yourself a good weekend. We'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
Anytime, Tom.
Matthew Embry, WSBT up in South Bend, bringing us some Indycar action as we're down in Gateway, talking about the melee of Pocono last week, and bringing us some college football updates as we begin college football weekend today. Miami and Florida in the swamp. But we'll be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network. We're going to jump into some NASCAR talk with Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest. We're going to be talking about the return or the not return of Jeff Gordon. Yeah, Dale Jr., 917-898-8516. We'll be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network.
I cannot breathe. I gotta show them how I can get it in. First, take your sip, do your dip, spend your money like money ain't shit. Ooh, we too fresh. Got to blame it on Jesus.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar.
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything.
All right, welcome back to Balance. My name's Tom Marquisell, Presidente, 917-889-8516, or digits. Thank you, Matthew Embry, WSBT up in South Bend. Wearing a couple of hats for us today, breaking down some IndyCar action, the action out of Pocono, and the action coming up in Gateway tonight in St. Louis, and also some college football talk. Joining us now, Steve Wilson, Editor-in-Chief of Speedway Digest. Happy Saturday to you, sir. How is you?
Still not bad at all.
Good to hear. Hey, so let's get into this conversation, and we kind of touched on it a little bit in the last segment there. Dale Jr. releasing a statement. First of all, let's talk about the cause of the accident. They believe it was a landing gear malfunction, and I tell you what a tragic scene that was. And I was going back and listening to just some of the 911 calls, just people talking about how they were climbing out of the plane and so forth. So just a scary, scary thing. And so glad we're not having a different discussion today about Dale Jr., his family, dog and daughter, wife, and 2 pilots. But talk to us a little bit about that. And then also, Dale Jr. released a statement yesterday or the day before saying that he thinks he's going to race in Darlington. So let's get a recap and an overview on that before we get into some high-level NASCAR talk because, hey, you're kind of taking the weekend off. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, so just a little over a week or so ago, there was an incident out there in Lisbon, Tennessee, where the plane carried Dale Jr., his wife, and his daughter, along with their dog and 2 pilots, crashed and did eventually burn off the runway. And the NTSB did come out yesterday with their preliminary investigation, where they have at least made an initial judgment onto this, but I know that it's still going to take a couple of months, or even as long as a year, for them to dismantle this aircraft and in Georgia, where it's been moved to, and then release their final investigation as to what happened into this. But initially they are saying right now that there was a landing gear failure that caused the plane carrying them to skid down the runway and eventually catch on fire. You're right. There are some videos out there. There's a lot of audio out there, eyewitness accounts of watching people or talking about people and seeing people run down the runway, down the access road from the public road, and just going out there and helping them get out of the plane while it was engulfed in fire. And it did not take long after they were out of the aircraft before it was fully engulfed in the plane. So at least right now, that's what we know. At least preliminary, it's a landing gear failure that caused the incident there just a little over a week ago. As far as Dale Jr., this next week at Darlington Raceway for the Southern 500 weekend, he is going to come back and going to be a part of the Xfinity Series. He raced one race last year for his team and JR Motorsports at Richmond, and this year he decided that he was going to do it at Darlington Raceway during the Labor Day throwback weekend. As initially, he has put out a statement. He said there is some swelling, there is some bruising in his back. He's hoping that'll be all gone and he'll be able to race by next weekend at Darlington Raceway, but he is still planning on, at this time, to get in the car and race the Xfinity Series in Sport Clips 200 at Darlington Raceway next Saturday, a week from today.
Talking with Steve Wilson, Editor-in-Chief of SpeedwayDigest.com, our official NASCAR contributor. I was talking a little bit with Matthew Embry in the last segment about this, and he kind of is under the thought that maybe it's not the right time for him to get back into the race car, because Darlington itself is a track that requires such concentration, such ability, such talent, and reminded us of, several years back in the 90s when his father fell asleep at the beginning of that race and almost caused a major catastrophe at that point. What are your thoughts about that line of thinking?
I've had the pleasure of going around Darlington Raceway on multiple occasions. Mark Martin took me around there one time. I've had some others that have taken me around there at nearly full speed. So I can tell you that track is incredibly fast. The way that you have to run up along those walls, there is a lot of bumping. That track does disintegrate tires into it, which you slip and slide around and knock yourself up into the wall real quickly out there, especially down in the egg turn where it kind of narrows up very quickly down there in 3 and 4. For him to get in the car, he's a race car driver. We saw when he was having problems just a couple of years ago before he eventually got out of the car. He had to stay out of the car for over a half a season and then came back for his final season out there. We've talked about drivers in the past, such as Ricky Rudd. He had an accident down in Daytona. He taped his eyes open in the 1980s and then came back the next week with bruised eyes, taped open at Richmond Raceway the very next weekend. So, these drivers are a different breed of kind of person that they take their licks and, they still get in a race car because I think, we have seen in the past, like Bobby Isaac, he's a perfect example where, there's a famous saying in the movie Days of Thunder where he says that he's hearing voices and if he gets back in the car he's gonna get killed. And that's a true story because Bobby Isaac did at Asheville Weaver Speedway back many years ago have these voices that were in his head that says if you get back in this race car you're going to die. Well, he did many years later, and that's exactly what happened. He got in a race car at Hickory Motor Speedway, had a massive heart attack, took him to the hospital, and he died. So, these drivers are a different breed of person that get in there, go out there and race for 200, 300, 500 miles, whatever it is on any given weekend. And I think sometimes that we've also seen drivers that have just lost their nerve. They think that they can still get in these race cars. But, Dale Jr. is one of these drivers that has taken a lot of licks in his lifetime in these cars. He's had concussions at Michigan and other places that have occurred, and that's what eventually put him out of the race car on a permanent full-time basis. But he seems to, have the nerve to still get back into it. So I don't doubt his ability at any means, and I think that he is being careful in the fact of what he has gone through with his concussions. What if he realizes what that they had put him out of the race car on a full-time basis. And when I saw him come back last year at Richmond Raceway, and he had been out of the car for more than a year or so. He got in a race car and he was out there battling in the top 3, top 5 all day long at Richmond Raceway. So he's not lost it by any means, and I think he's very well aware as to what can happen in these race cars, and I think that him going into Darlington next weekend, he is taking all the care. I think that's exactly why he sat out that weekend at Bristol last weekend for the night race so that he could go home, so he could see the doctors. Probably he's consulted with his physicians in Philadelphia that have worked on his concussions in the past, and they've all working to an agreement as to the fact that, that's why he came out with a statement that says he's going to get in the car. He's just a little bit worried about the swelling and bruising in his back. And I think they'll watch this over the next week and see how it develops. And then obviously NASCAR's medical team, they've at some point cleared him to get in the car, and whether they're probably still in the conversation at this point. Well, they'll also look at this again and before we get to Darlington next week and see if this is still a concern, and then they'll have the conversation with his doctors, and his doctors will have the conversation with him and others, and they'll come to a judgment call before next weekend. But as it sounds like right now, he's going to get in the car and he's going to race Darlington, and honestly, I don't think there's any better place that he could come back and race at Darlington, because it was the track that, he did finally just come out and say, look, these are all the problems that I have. And I don't know if it's kind of like